Hello, everyone, and welcome to our Google Cloud Community event focused on securing AI usage with the Google Secure AI framework. My name is Lauren, and I'm the content manager for the Google Cloud Community. And I'm thrilled to be joined today with Nicolas, who will be taking you through the content and answering your questions today. And before diving in, just a few reminders that I have, because I know we have a lot of great content to get to today, but just wanted to say questions are encouraged. So please feel free to add those into the YouTube chat box, and we'll be sure to get to them either in the chat or at the end of the presentation. Also, if you have any comments, projects you're working on, we'd love to hear from you on those things as well. All right, and then for any questions that we don't get to, we do encourage you to use the Google Cloud Community. So you can search and ask new questions in the forums there, and the link is in the YouTube description. So you can go ahead and check that out. All right, so with that, I know, like I said, we have a lot to get through today, and I'm excited to see what we're going to talk about. So Nicolas, I'll let you take it from here.
Thank you, Lauren. So let's get started. According to a recent McKinsey study, generative AI could generate up to $4.4 trillion US in new revenues, and it will improve productivities by up to 25%. Perhaps that's the two reasons why it's top of mind for most organizations today. And perhaps this is the reason why you are all here to watch this presentation. So my name is Nicolas. I'm a cybersecurity professional working at Google Cloud, and I'm also teaching cybersecurity at McGill University. In the last 20 years, I've seen similar technology shift that had a direct impact on cybersecurity for any enterprises. Each time, organizations needed to understand and transform their cybersecurity practice in order to secure their business. Each time, organizations faced new threats and challenges that did not exist before. They needed to adapt their policies, risk evaluation, and regulatory compliance. Each time, they had to educate and support their employee to use this new technology in a secure way. And this time, I believe Gen AI will be a big one for many reasons. In the last year, I've been doing a lot of AI and Gen AI POC and implementation at my own customers. Almost all of them are currently experimenting or implementing Gen AI. And because of my cybersecurity background, I've looked at it with different eyes. Today's session is intended for IT and cybersecurity professionals that want to know how to start their AI security journey. I will explain why AI security should be a priority, what is Google SAIF, and how to use it in order to run your AI security just like Google. Because as exciting as AI and Gen AI opportunities are for all of us, you need to act quickly on the security side before you suffer from shadow AI impacts. So let's get started. Part 1. Why AI security should be a priority anyway. Because everyone wants a piece of AI pie, and for good reasons. It is powerful, it is user-friendly, and easily accessible. But why this is becoming a security challenge? Well, for many reasons, but here's one. Remember the early days of smartphone and tablets. Company gave you a bulky desktop with all of the work software you needed at that time. Then, suddenly, everyone had their own awesome new personal devices and wanted to use it at work. To take notes, share files, it was completely revolutionary. You weren't supposed to use those unsanctioned apps, but the convenience was too great. Companies weren't prepared, and it took years to catch up. We called it shadow IT back then. Breaches happened, data was leaked, and ransomware attack skyrocketed. Guess what? Something similar is happening with AI today. And we call it shadow AI. The incredibly rapid adoption of generative AI poses a significant challenge when employees wants to use Gen AI tools that haven't been explicitly approved for corporate use. The use of shadow AI is raising serious questions about security, compliance, and privacy. In our discussion with enterprises customers, we've observed several new potential shadow AI risks emerging, including sensitive data leakage, unauthorized access to customers' corporate information by the operator of the Gen AI offering, non-compliance with applicable cybersecurity or data privacy requirement, and of course, hallucination. How to address this new risk caused by shadow AI? Corporate leaders might react by simply banning Gen AI usage in the workplace. We have seen this in the past with shadow IT. It didn't work much. The main issue with shadow AI is mainly the lack of enterprise-grade capabilities in the consumer-grade tools. While it's true that enterprise-grade for business comes with its own risks, it's important to note crucial differences between enterprise-grade AI and the unapproved business use by employees of consumer-grade AI. In general, additional safeguards included in enterprise-grade AI can address risk with technical and procedural means to help secure your model and training data. Enterprise-grade AI is more appropriate for many reasons. I will outline 4 of them. First one is data control, because enterprise must track data location and usage. Second one is model management, because output quality and cost needs to be monitored. Number 3 is secure integration. AI system must seamlessly connect with existing enterprise data and application, whether they are internal or external. Number 4 is, of course, regulatory compliance. Adherence to industry-specific regulation is essential. So consumer-grade tools may not meet these enterprise needs. But solutions like Vertex AI and Gemini for Google Cloud are enterprise-grade AI solutions, preventing shadow AI and ensuring a secure, compliant AI implementation that will align with your business goals. Potential risks associated with shadow AI are part of a broader concerns from our customers about using AI. When we talk with them, these are the risk team that are mostly concerned that they are mostly concerned with. Security. Is my infrastructure hardened against AI-specific attack? Privacy, regulatory, and compliance. Can I ensure my AI usage aligns with the existing and evolving regulation? Bias, transparency, and accountability. Of course, awareness. Do my employees understand the risk and responsible use of AI? And finally, environmental impact, of course. And Google Cloud is addressing all of these challenges in many ways, as you can see it on this slide. But you can also address most of these concerns by using a proper AI framework. This is where we introduce the SAIF for the second part of this presentation. So AI is advancing rapidly. It is important that effective risk management strategy evolves along with it. The potential of AI, especially generative AI, is immense. However, in the pursuit of progress with these new frontier of innovation, there needs to be clear industry security standard for building and deploying this technology in a responsible manner. To help achieve this, we introduce the Secure AI Framework, or SAIF, a conceptual framework to secure AI systems. Secure AI Framework is inspired by the security best practices, like reviewing, testing, and controlling the supply chain that Google applies to software development, while incorporating our understanding of security megatrends and risk specific to AI systems. SAIF is based on the following 6 core elements. Expand strong security foundation to the AI ecosystem. Number 2 is to extend detection and response to bring AI into an organization threat universe. Number 3, automate defenses to keep pace with existing and new threats. Next one is to harmonize platform-level control to ensure consistent security across the organization. Number 5 is adapt control to adjust mitigation and create faster feedback loops for AI deployment. And last one, contextualize AI system risk in surrounding businesses process. And in each of these 6 core elements, we will find sub-elements to apply. A framework like SAIF, which spans across the public and private sector, is essential for making sure that responsible actors safeguard the technology that support AI advancement, so that when AI models are implemented, they're secure by default. SAIF is designed to help mitigate risk specific to AI systems, such as model stealing, poisoning of model training data, injecting malicious input through prompt injection, and extracting confidential information in the training data. It is important to note that the 6 core elements noted on this slides are not intended to be applied in any chronological order, but rather as separate levers that can be tuned as needed to achieve the desired results of using AI in a secure and responsible manner. So let's deep dive into each of them. Let's start with core element number 1, focused on how to apply and expand existing security foundation to the AI ecosystem. Number 1 is to review what existing security control across the security domain apply to AI systems. Existing security controls can apply in numerous ways to AI systems. As an example, data security can be applied to secure the data used to train and operate models. Think dataplex or IAM or policies. Application control can be used to protect the software. Think artifact registry, for example. Infrastructure control can be used to secure the underlying infrastructure. Think about cloud firewall. Their involvement will vary depending on the use of AI and their respective environment. Number 2 is to evaluate the relevance of traditional control to AI threats and risk using available frameworks. You may need to adapt traditional security control to be relevant to AI, like adding an extra security layer to cover a specific needs. Let's say data encryption, where you could limit access to the encryption key to certain role. Number 3 of this core element is to perform an analysis to determine what security control needs to be added due to AI-specific threats, regulation, etc. You do this with your Assemble team by reviewing your current control maps for AI use cases. Then, do a fit-for-purpose evaluation and create a plan to address the gap. You will need to make sure to measure the effectiveness of what you're doing. Like if they are really lowering the risk on your AI system? That's a good question, and you need to measure that. Number 4 is to prepare to store and track supply chain asset, code, and training data, because they are now your new crown jewels. You need to ensure you identify, categorize, secure, and monitor for unauthorized use or access to your specific AI system. You will need to ensure that your data governance and lifecycle management can scale and are adapted to AI. You need to cover specific domains of data governance, like data quality, security, architecture, metadata, data lifecycle, and data storage. AI data governance will become more important than ever. And the quality of your model will depend on the quality of the training set of data. So you need to have a proper lifecycle management system and data lineage. That will also help to address questions regarding privacy and intellectual property, as you will be able to track who created the data and where it comes from. Finally, you need to retain and retrain employees, because finding the right talent can take a while in security, privacy, and compliance. It can easily become a multi-year journey. Keeping this talent and retraining them with the skills that are relevant to AI will be quicker than hiring new employees. In core elements number 2, we need to extend detection and response to bring AI into an organization threat universe. There's 4 main goals here. Number 1 is to develop an understanding of the threat that matters for the AI usage scenario, the type of AI used, etc. It has to be relevant for the specific AI use case scenario. It has to include the type of AI they use, the data they use to train the AI, and the potential consequences of a security breach. As an example, if you run an on-premise model on a GDC Edge appliance to support visual inspection of a manufacturing line, the type of possible threats will not be the same as if you deploy an AI-based chatbot for your customers. Number 2, they need to prepare and respond to attack against AI and also the issue raised by AI output. You will need a plan for detecting and responding to security incidents. You need to be able to mitigate the risk of AI systems that might make harmful or biased decisions. Specifically for GenAI, focus on the output. Be prepared to enforce content safety policies. Because as powerful as GenAI can be, there's a potential for abuse. As an example, GenAI could create harmful content, such as hate speech or violent images. You need to be prepared to enforce content safety policies, like maybe adding a temporary measure to mute the output quickly if needed. Finally, you need to adjust your abuse policy and incident response process to AI-specific incident types, such as malicious content creation or AI privacy violation. These incidents may include also malicious content creation, AI privacy violation, AI bias, and general abuse of AI system. Because AI system can become more complex and pervasive, so it's important to adjust your abuse policy. Core element number 3, automate defense to keep pace with existing and new threats. Our source specialist will love this one. 3 main topics in automation. Number 1 is to identify the list of AI security capabilities focused on securing AI system, training data pipeline, etc. As an example, in Google Cloud, we have Gemini, formerly known as Duet AI, inside Secure Command Center. This is a good example of how you can use AI security technology to protect AI systems. Use the AI defenses to counter AI threats, but keep human in the loops for decision when necessary. Because yes, AI can be used to detect and respond to threat. However, human must remain in the loop for any important decisions, like determining what constitutes a real threat and how to respond to it. Number 3 is to automate time-consuming tasks, reduce toil, and speed up defensive mechanisms. Seems obvious, but how can we apply this? Well, let's say you can use AI to generate YARA rules. That's a good example. Also, using AI recommendation for some specific incident. You can do that in Security Command Center, where AI will give you a full analysis of what is a specific incident or what is a specific vulnerability, as well as how to fix it. These will save you precious time and reduce toil. Core element number 4 is about how we need to harmonize platform-level controls to ensure consistent security across the organization. First, you need to periodically review usage of AI, and lifecycle of AI-based app. This requires a very good understanding of the use of AI. It is a key component. You will need to implement a process to periodically review the usage of AI in order to identify and mitigate security risks. This includes reviewing types of AI model, types of application being used, data used to train and run AI, the security measure you implemented to protect AI, and any monitoring and response procedure you have implemented. Don't forget to include AI security risk awareness and training for all employees in your periodic review. Number 2 is to prevent fragmentation of controls by trying to standardize on tooling and frameworks. Because fragmentation will increase complexity and create a significant overlapping between tools. It will also increase cost, of course, and it will reduce the effectiveness of your security controls. For any security professional, you know that you have a lot of security tools to manage. Do you really want to add new ones specific to AI? Try to keep the overall numbers of AI framework and control as low as possible. Now, core element number 5. Adapt control to adjust mitigation and create faster feedback loops for AI deployment. SecOps team on the call will like this one. 4 ideas. Number 1 is to conduct red team exercise to improve safety and security for AI-powered products and capabilities. So you take a team of ethical hackers and ask them to attempt to exploit vulnerabilities in your AI system. Red team exercise will help your organization to identify and mitigate risk in the respective AI system before real threat actor does. Number 2 is to stay on top of novel attacks, including prompt injection, data poisoning, and evasion attacks. You do this with Technology Watch by staying up to date on the latest attack methods or the new vulnerability that could leak sensitive data, disrupt operations, or make incorrect prediction. Number 3 is to apply machine learning techniques to improve detection, accuracy, and speed. You will need to drive continuous learning in order to improve AI-based protection, update training, and fine-tune the data sets of foundation models. It will enable your organization to strategically respond to attacks as the threat environment continue to evolve. Continuing learning is also critical for improving accuracy, reduce latency, and increase efficiency of protection. Number 4 is to create a feedback loops to maximize the impact of the above 3 elements. Let's use an example for this. If your red team discover a way to misuse your AI system, that information has and should be fed back into your organization to improve defenses. Finally, core pillar number 6 is about contextualizing AI system risks in surrounding business processes. People working in GRC, this pillar will be of great importance to you. First, we need to establish a model risk management framework and build a team that understands AI-related risks. In other words, you need to develop a process for identifying, assessing, and mitigating risks associated to AI models. To do this, you will need to have a team composed of experts in AI, security, and risk management. You will need to build an inventory of AI model and the respective risk profile based on the specific use case and shared responsibility in the case that you are leveraging a third-party solution and services. This inventory will give you visibility on the respective risk profile for each AI model. Understanding AI risk will facilitate the implementation of security control to mitigate these risks. Risk profile should be based on the specific use cases and data sensitivity. As an example, an AI model creating funny pictures would not have the same business risk as a model that processes financial information. Number 3 is to implement data privacy, cyber risk, and third-party risk policies, protocol, and control throughout the ML model lifecycle in order to guide the model development, implementation, monitoring, and validation. On a personal opinion, this is, to me, one of the most important items of the SAIF. So I'll take more time on this one. Information security policies are the set of rules that your organization has defined to operate and use in the information system. The policies include the protocols and controls that address risk and provide usage guidelines. They apply to your entire org. They apply to your employee, to your business partners, as well as your suppliers. They need to be updated to support AI usage and guide the AI. They will also be one of your best starting points to avoid any shadow AI usage. Because shadow AI will happen in the absence of a clear rules and, of course, with the lack of training. But we covered this in pillar number 4. They have to apply to each stages of the ML lifecycle and apply to third party as well. As an example, if you're working in a fintech and you need to use a third-party ML provider because they have been developing a model that you want to use, there might be a risk for you to share sensible information to them. So you need to make sure that you define the proper policies, control, and protocols, and that you make sure that they will comply with these policies. Also keep in mind pillar number 4 in your policies in order to avoid fragmentation. Number 4 is to perform a risk assessment that considers organizational use of AI. Now that you established a risk management framework, that you built a team that understands AI-related risks, now that you have a full inventory of all of your AI model and your risk profile, and that you defined and or update your existing policies to manage risk, you now need to perform a risk assessment. And based on this assessment, you will need to implement security control to mitigate these risks. This has to be done at the organization level by creating a cross-functional team. Finally, organization can use their existing risk assessment framework to do that work, but they will need to most likely adapt it in order to address new emerging AI-related risks. Number 5 will be to review risk governance across the AI ecosystem. For this, you will need to incorporate the shared responsibility for securing AI depending on who developed AI systems, deploy models developed by your model provider, or tune the model or uses the off-shelf solution. So what is shared responsibility in AI? AI systems are being built by developers, ran by DevOps teams, and used by their end user. The respective responsibility will vary depending on their role in developing and deploying these AI systems. But what about third party? What about if you outsource AI development or AI infrastructure to a third party? It is important to tailor AI risk governance to partnership with third party across the ecosystem, the AI ecosystem. Therefore, they will be responsible to use secure coding practices, train their model on clean data, and implement the proper security control to prevent the system from being attacked. Google released a good article on shared responsibility in AI risk management. I will post the link to it at the end of this presentation. Finally, number 6 is to match the AI use cases to risk tolerance. The final item in this risk topic is to understand the specific risks associated with each AI use cases. Risk is all about the possible impact if they become through. And some AI systems have the potential of impacting significantly people's life or have a bigger impact on your organization fate. healthcare and finance AI system will need to be heavily secured, more heavily secured than marketing or customer services. Well, that's obviously if your customer services doesn't manage some sensible information as well. And that covered the final core element of the SAIF. So we covered the 6 core elements of the SAIF. We also understand why AI security has to be an organization-wide initiative. So far, I had all of the traditional security profile involved: governance, risk, compliance, architecture, and security operation. But we also have people involved from HR because they will need to, there's training and awareness program to build and maintain. We also have people from the business lines who are the owner of the AI system. We have people who runs the underlying infrastructure or cloud infrastructure. We have people who develop the AI system, whether they are internal or external. And we also have the legal people who will need to validate the risk associated with the AI usage. Seems a lot of people, right? And a lot of work to do to start in your AI security journey. So how can we do this? Well, trying to implement all of the 6 core elements at once will not be simple. So my recommendation is to follow these 4 steps and start small, perhaps only with one single AI use case. Then repeat step over and over and over. Start by understanding the AI use cases. That's the step number 1. When adopting AI, knowing the business problem and the data requirement will inform necessary security measures to take. AI models based on existing internal data are often less complex than those affecting consumer, which might carry regulatory concerns. How the model interact with users also matter. Externally facing model have stricter policy and security needs than internal one. And finally, pre-built versus self-deploy model influence infrastructure security, model monitoring, and threat protection strategies. This is why understanding the AI use case will ensure the implementation of the SAIF captures the complexities and risk of that particular deployment. Step number 2, will be to assemble the team. You will need to expand on the composition of the team to include stakeholders across the organization, such as the business use case owner, the security people, cloud engineering, risk and audit team, privacy, legal, data science team, development teams. Establishing the right cross-functional team ensure that security, privacy, risk, and compliance consideration are included from the start and not added after the fact. Step number 3 is to level set with non-technical stakeholder on all of the new AI-related concepts. AI and Gen AI are evolving quickly. So it is critical that parties involved understand the basics of the AI development lifecycle, the design and logic of the model methodologies, including capabilities, merit, and limitation. This will help stakeholders to accurately capture and evaluate the risk and control required to manage and deploy AI safely and responsibly. If you pick a simple AI use case to start, it will be easier to manage. Don't forget that a lot of these people will need to be trained on AI principle in order to participate in this journey. Once the use case and context are known, the theme has been assembled and primed on AI, you can start to apply the 6 core elements of the SAIF. You are now ready. So if you would like to learn more about the SAIF, please find the full documentation here. I also put the link to the AI shared responsibility article that we have published. Before we conclude, I would like to share a story with you that happened to me a few months ago. I was contacted on social media by a student who wanted to enroll in the cybersecurity program that I'm teaching at McGill University. However, she was concerned about the rise of AI and whether a career in cybersecurity would still be viable in the future because of AI. Today, I hope you learn that investing in cybersecurity will absolutely be required to support AI. And by implementing a secure AI framework, you should never be worried about these new challenges. So thanks a lot for your attention. And Lauren, back to you.
Amazing. Thank you so much, Nicolas, for this presentation and walking us through each of those pillars and components of the SAIF framework. I, for one, learned some new things, and it's great to see some of your questions that have come through. We're about to dive into those, but before we do, just sharing a few final resources and recommendations for you. So first is the Google Cloud community. So if you do have any additional questions that we didn't cover today or that we don't have time to get to, please use that. It is full of experts, Googlers, other peers who are working through similar challenges to you, and you can all work together to problem solve and find best practices for each other. So definitely highly recommend you check that out, and the link is in the YouTube description as well. I'll also drop this into the chat, but we would love to hear your feedback. It should just take 30 seconds to a minute just to fill out that feedback form. We'd love to hear if you have any suggestions for future topics as well. So we really do value your feedback, and we look into those, and it helps determine what we focus on next. So thank you for that. And then lastly, just a few other upcoming events that we have. You can see them all at that third link. A lot coming down the pipe in AI and of course in security. So we'd love to see you at one of our future sessions. All right, with that, let's dive into the Q&A. So I know we have several in the chat that we will cover, but we did also receive some in advance and some common questions that may be helpful for you to understand as well. So let's kick it off there. All right, so our first question is, besides implementing SAIF, what other AI security actions should be taken in any organization?
Well, the answer to this is SAIF covers a lot of elements, as you saw. But to me, it's really about AI awareness program. That would be a starting point. Right now, with I've seen customers and people using consumer-grade tools for executing their work. Depending on your work, maybe you don't have sensible information to manage. Maybe you do. So having a proper awareness program within your enterprise should be a good thing to do. And it's not different than phishing awareness. Like it's really the same idea. Is you teach people how to avoid sharing sensible information on unsanctioned AI system.
Makes sense. Absolutely. Okay. So what technologies and control mechanisms should be implemented with the SAIF? And maybe as a, follow-up to that, or similarly, we did have a question from the audience around, is the SAIF a service of Google Cloud? So maybe we can touch on both of these.
Yes, that's so thanks for the question. SAIF is a framework. It is something that will define your strategy to execute and secure your AI usage. It's not a product as per se, but as you saw in some of the pillars, you will need to define how you are going to secure your AI environment. And at that moment, Google Cloud has some tools that will secure the AI usage. And frankly, these tools aren't that much different from the one you used it. It's just that you apply it to your AI specific use cases. Let's say VPCSC is a good one. Customer managed encryption key is another one. Cloud firewall, and any data security principle, because at the heart of that AI system, there's data. So whatever data security tool you are using today, all you need to do is to make sure that you apply security principles specifically for AI. So That would be the answer. There is a lot of tools that you can actually use on Google Cloud to support the principles that will be defined in the SAIF.
Absolutely. Makes great sense. Okay. Our next question is, so what are the specific threats I should prioritize once the SAIF is implemented? And maybe this is an AI angle that we can consider, but any thoughts around this question?
Yes. The thing is with this, it's evolving a lot. And over the last year or so, we more and more learned on the public sphere from the various threats that some company faced. So there's multiple ones, maybe like inference and model modification. So if someone wants to hack into your system and modify your models, so in order to control the eventual output, inference pattern extraction, data leakage, it's a big one. Insecure content generation, also user account abuse, that's one. Of course, denial of service, because if you're putting that AI system and you don't want it to be stopped, because denial of service. So there are multiple new threats that you need to consider and to learn from.
Great, makes good sense. Okay, this is our last one, and then we'll transition over into the chat questions. So how is Google Cloud AI tools like Vertex different than using Gemini, formerly known as Bard?
Yeah, the difference is really consumer grade versus enterprise grade. So Vertex usage will enable you to control end-to-end everything, to make sure that you have all of the control implemented, that you keep track of all of where the data is coming, where the data is going, where it's used. You will be able to know specifically what model and control model versioning. So that's the big difference. If you want to use a Gemini to plan your next vacations, it's perfect. Or if you want to experiment with some coding or some learning, that's perfect. That's the reason of consumer grade tools. But as soon as you need some stricter requirement, let's say regulatory, you need to be, let's say, a HIPAA compliant, PCI, and then you need to control all of these data throughout the AI chain, well, Vertex is the way to go.
Makes sense. And if it's okay, I might ask my own question, but when users are using Gemini, formerly known as Bard, I imagine it's very important to educate your employees or whoever you're working with on not sharing any data that they shouldn't be when they're using those tools. Is that fair to say?
Yes, it is.
I know that along with phishing, as you mentioned, it's kind of like an education piece that we all need to learn some new best practices around being safe with AI. All right. Well, let's transition over into some of the questions that we have in the chat. If you have any additional, please feel free to add those in, and we'll be sure to get to them. So the first question we have here is around different kinds of industry situations. So how does the Google Secure AI framework adapt to different AI application scenarios, such as healthcare, finance, and industrial automation?
Well, by default, the SAIF can be used in any vertical context, because what we are defining within the SAIF is not AI industry specific. When you will go into each pillars, this is when you will define, let's say for risks, healthcare vertical, the risk is not the same as if you are in the media and entertainment. So each pillar will cover requirements specific for a specific industry.
Makes sense. And then a follow-up to that question is, and maybe we have already covered this, but if there's any additional context here, what are the security protocols and standards recommended by the Google Secure AI framework to ensure the integrity of AI models in a dynamic environment?
The SAIF is not recommending a specific security protocol. The SAIF is recommended to analyze and have to define what is the specific security protocol that apply to your specific environment. So that it's a bit different. I wish I could have a better answer to that. But the SAIF is really just that you need to think about these specific protocol. You need to think about the specific standard that your enterprise has to be compliant with. Because if you don't, there might be additional risk, or you might be in trouble. So that's what the SAIF is stating: is you need to evaluate them, you need to be compliant to them. What's the strategy in order to reach that goal? So it's not a standard or compliance specific.
Makes sense. Okay. Moving along. So I believe you may have mentioned it at the earlier on in the presentation around storing and tracking AI assets. Does that mean we're going to have our own LLM or our own foundation model?
Well, storing and tracking AI asset, you can run your own LLM within Google. Like Gemini is one option, but in the model Walled Garden, like there's other model that you can run. So basically, you can bring your own model. The question about how we store, like it's really similar to what we do in DevOps. So we have a package that we track, that we know this is a model that has been approved, and we deploy this one. And that will help us building our ML pipelines based on this artifact registry kind of models. So it's very, very similar to what we do in app development.
Makes sense. Okay, I think we just have maybe one more. So if you have any final questions, now's the time. Otherwise, you have the community. We'll be always on for you as a resource. But here's our last one. How is it used? And I'm assuming this is regarding the SAIF for ITGC SOC or SOC's audit process?
Oh, good question. Well, actually, what will happen is during your AI, during the usage of the SAIF, let's say you define, okay, everything that you want to apply or is required to be applied within the SAIF. At some point, SOC compliance will come up, and the SAIF will need to define, okay, you will need to be compliant on this, on this, on this, on this. So it's all about knowing the risk out of this specific compliance that is associated to specific AI use cases. So it will be used, but not directly. It's similar to the other question we got on the regulatory.
Makes sense. Yep. Okay, and we did get another question in here. And we may need a little bit of additional context in terms of what you mean by social topics, but are there any main strategies that you would recommend for compliance with social topics?
I'm not sure to understand the question related on social topics. Sorry.
Yeah, I agree. Paolo, if you have any additional context around what you mean when you're referring to social topics, first thing that came to mind was like maybe social media, or if there were, sensitive topics in society that you may be referring to, maybe in any case, we would love to hear if you have any additional context with that. In regards, so it looks like societal in regards to, different topics, racism, prejudice. Are there any kinds of recommendations that we can incorporate or strategies with regards to compliance in those topics?
So part of the SAIF is really to the pillar on the risk management. I believe that's one of the main one. Is there a risk for your AI model to produce output that should not be that should not be produced? So there's a risk for this. So this risk depend on the use case, on the context, on what technology you use, what source data, what's this. So what will be very important though is to define these risks and make sure that you have the proper measure if ever it happened, and I covered it during the presentation on how to make sure that you are prepared to manage incident specifically specific to Gen AI output. So the SAIF is all about being prepared for that, to understand what could happen, what could go wrong, and if ever it go wrong, what are we doing? What's the plan? So the SAIF, it's really about this, and it's really I think it answers the question on these topics.
Yep. Great. And thank you for the additional clarification there. That does look like all of the questions that we had for today. I'm going to pull up our resources just one more time. Here are those on the SAIF, and we also dropped that into the chat. And then one more time, just for your feedback, we would love to hear that and continue to engage with you in the community. With that, thank you so much, Nicolas, for this presentation. I know this was a much needed one for our community with so many questions around how to ensure security, compliance, and governance in this new world of AI. So I really appreciate you outlining it for us and making it very clear in the context of the SAIF. So thank you so much.
Thanks a lot, Lauren.
All right, everyone. We hope to see you next time. And until then, we hope you have a good rest of your day, evening, or wherever you are in the world, and stay safe.